Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie. For this layout I'll be using Rosie's Studio, Beautiful Dreamer. Now this is a really nice soft range, lots of black and white and pinks and pastels, and I've gone through the 6x6 pad and I've picked out a collection of papers that I really like the look of, mainly pinks and black and white. And I'm going to try and use quite a few of them all on one layout. So I've got some photos of my daughter at her graduation here. I'm not sure if I want to use the black or white or the colour, so I've printed both because I'm actually making this layout whilst away from home. So I printed them in advance, not knowing which ones I would want to use. So I'm going to tear a section from each of the papers that I like. In the end I use some of them twice just to get some variety. The papers are actually quite thin, so they tear beautifully. I did bring in my tearing ruler. You'll see it on the right there. I think I had that. That's probably one of my oldest tools, and I had it when I was a card maker, and it's been invaluable for tearing pretty much straight lines. But actually, these papers do rip really well. So I'm just tearing a strip off each, and the idea is I'm going to just order them a little bit now. I've got a piece of computer paper there and I'm just going to put some double-sided tape on the back of the strips. This is obviously not quite 12 by 12, not 12 inches long, but I'm going to just overhang them either end. It's just so I can actually get them all lined up a little bit rather than keep adjusting them on the cardstock, so you won't notice that it's stuck on something else, particularly at the end. So I'm just putting one underneath another, working my way up until the whole bit is filled. Then I'm just see if there's any gaps and I can add some little bits back in. I think, without counting, I think there's 10 or 11 different pattern papers in that column there. But because they are all obviously from the same range and they're all from the same colour palette, they go really well together, and I think it's a great way of using up some from a 6x6 pad. So the idea is I am going to have that central on the black cardstock. I think that really helps make that pop, and I'm aiming to have one photo bottom left and two top right. So that's the plan in my head. So I'm just bringing in something that you may not have already seen. Hey Little Magpie have their own word and phrase ephemera now. This is one of Sarah's new ideas, and they're fabulous, I have to say. So I think they really go with this range. I mean, they go with lots of ranges, but particularly I was looking forward to using them with this layout. Come in a number of different fonts. There's some blacks, some greys. I think there's some coloured ones now in the shop, so do check those out. So they're the Hey Little Magpie word and phrase ephemera, and I'm definitely going to use 2 or 3 on this layout. So I'm just going to put some double-sided tape on the back of this column of paper, and I'm just trying to get it roughly down the centre of the black cardstock. Obviously it's not behaving. You know it's pretty much straight, but it's just trying to get it into position. So I'm just using some more paper. There's a grey one here from the 6x6 pad just to go behind 2 of the photographs. The other one I've used an ephemera card, which I've just trimmed. Now I've trimmed them with scissors, which isn't something I would normally do, but I'm actually going to go in and distress the edges, so it doesn't matter if they're not perfectly straight. I thought distressing the edges of those papers goes quite well with the torn strips of the central column. So I'm just coming back in and I'm going to have another look through the word and phrase ephemera just to make sure that I've picked the right ones that I want to use. As I've been working on the background, I was thinking that of all the other words in the packet, and I wanted to make sure that I'd got it, and I do actually change the words I use at the top right. So on the tray on my left, I've put all the ephemera that's in the right colourways, and I'm starting to pop onto the layout all the bits that I think might be really useful. I particularly love the 3D butterflies in this range, and I also wanted to use lots of the little stars, so I'm picking them all out and putting them onto the black just so that I can actually see what there is, because there's so much. The ephemera is doubled in the packets. I don't know if you know that with Rosie Studio. You get 2 of everything, so which can be really helpful. But I'm just going to go through, then I'm going to put away the bits that I don't think will be of any use on this layout, and then I can actually start to focus Sometimes I find the more I have around me, the harder I find it is to create. And when you limit your supplies, it kind of like focuses you a little. And that is what I'm planning to do here. I know the sort of embellishments that I want to use, so by having them by the side of me, I will definitely make the most of them. So I've actually brought in some of the gold stars and leaves, because I thought that was an actually nice touch to add to go with the pink and black and white combo. In fact, some of the pink like roses in the kit actually have gold in them. So I thought that would be a nice addition. So you'll see that those are also in the tray. So I'm just having to think now how I want things to look, and I'm actually going to start to commit and stick things down, which if you've watched me before, you'll know it does take me a little while to do that. So just because I quite like the process of putting it all together and moving it round and just assessing it. If I was making this at home, I would have maybe stopped, made a cup of tea, come back, had a look at it with fresh eyes, just to see how it looks. It's quite funny because I'm making this layout at a retreat. I'm actually seated and videoing. Now, if I was at home, I'd actually be standing up, and I feel that that gives you a completely different perspective. So the poor ladies on the table behind me probably noticed I was up and down, a bit like a jack in a box, standing up, but looking over the layout just to see if it looked different, because that's the usual stance that I would have. So a big shout out to the ladies on the table behind me, putting up with me, moving my chair all the time. But to me, it makes a difference which angle you look at your layout. So if you do sit down to scrap, now and again, stand up, have a look over the top, because it does, I think, give you a new perspective. So as you can see, my hands are still busy moving things around. I'm tucking in the flowers now around the photographs, and I'm going to make sure that I add those butterflies as well. Now, there weren't as many big photographs in the big flowers in this kit as I would have liked. So a couple of them I actually just cut up and tuck them in a couple of places, because nobody knows whether it's whole behind the photograph or not. And I just, that way you're stretching your supplies a little bit at the same time. So do check out the Hey Little Magpie blog and their Facebook group. There's also a monthly challenge with prizes to win, so you can actually spend points in the shop. And lots of inspiration out there from a wonderful design team. Also in the shop, you'll find ranges like Rosie's Studio, or ranges that you may not necessarily use. So always have a good look around. There's always something new that you can find. So thank you very much for watching. Here's the full image of the layout and some close-ups. If you've got any questions or anything you want to talk about, just pop it in the comments and I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.